So I want to do more, basically like putting myself out there as an artist, because you can't leave your house at all, you know? And I had to get a new computer, and I ended up getting a computer that was quite a bit better than my last one, so I'm also like, I really want to get the most use out of it as I can before it is, older and obsolete. So I'm trying to do a lot more design work, and I'm trying to do more like video and streaming stuff. Try to communicate with the world a little bit. It really bums me out that you can't like play whatever music you want without, I guess that'll mute your stream. I understand why and all of that, but it would be fun. I would enjoy it. So that's one of the things that I'm still trying to figure out how well this works, like laying and talking over also having music going. I'm using the front-facing camera on my new computer, even though that is definitely not ideal. But I guess using this OBS streamer thing and using an iPhone camera, it's a little bit more complicated than it seems like it should be, but trying to figure it out. I do have the ability at some point here to like show a drawing and then flip over to my camera, but it's just like screen capturing the actual cam on my camera, so I don't think that it's going to I don't think that that's going to work too well in the long run. And I guess it just really seems like all the other programs that you could get to solve that are, like $15 or something. But it might end up being worth it. We'll figure it out. I've got a GoPro that is too old to actually work for streaming as a webcam. I need to update some of my equipment, because this is uncomfortable. I've got this one little camera going here because it's just not I can't get it focused the way that I want to, and I want to be able to do drawing right down here on the desk, but I was trying to figure out how to like make a makeshift setup for that, and I didn't quite figure it out. The thing kept falling over, it just looked terrible, so I really need my workspace to still be free and not have some like weird visual thing going on. I'm also wearing headphones. And that creeps me out. Even playing video games, I've never been able to like wear headphones while I play video games because I'm always worried about like what's going on around me. And now I think that's probably going to be worse because I've got a dog. So I'm going to be constantly like, and I want to be able to hear what's going on with the dog too, right? But I don't know, I'll have to figure it out. But yeah, instead, in lieu of having the downward facing camera to show you like the actual drawings in decent quality, I am going to do a similar kind of thing where I show you my website and some of the art on my website, and I can just kind of talk about some of the stuff, and then definitely as a test I'm going to try to use the capture screen on my iPhone and show you one of the drawings in real life here. But this is my website. Isn't that nice? Let me see if I can actually make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Yeah. Oh, nifty. Okay. So, this is my website. I've been working on it. I built it with the Wix and it's the second year that I've had it. I think that the first year I got it, I had some sort of a discount, and it made it seem much more affordable. And now the second year, it's I guess it's the price that pretty much everybody pays for having a domain and a website that they can either you're paying somebody to do it for you or you can do it, and it's probably cheaper than I'm doing it myself, but it is one of those things where I'm like, okay, second year of having my own website, I need to do a little bit more with it. It has a lot of functionality and a lot of different features, and that is actually kind of slowing me down because I can't figure out exactly the way that I want to configure everything that I have the ability to configure. But I recently have gone and redesigned some of the stuff. I did all of these like little drawings, not little drawings, but kind of normal like handwritten size drawings of some of the different tabs. I feel like a lot of suggestions I've gotten as far as building an artist website is that you want it to be like the artwork hitting you immediately. And so this is what you see as soon as you go to bradleiby.com, and I don't know if it's actually, it's my handwriting, it's my style of my design work. So hopefully that's checking that box off, but it's not exactly like a picture of a painting immediately. But, I feel like the handwritten lettering, hopefully you want to click on it and you want to explore it because it looks like, you're looking at somebody's sketch pad or something. So we click on art. I think today I'd like to look at drawings. To some of these things. See what happens when we do full screen. No, that's not gonna work. I'm trying to get the display to be as big as it can be. I guess I can do this. Man, I'm getting so smart. Okay. This is a drawing that I did with ink probably around this time last year. I was getting ready for Christmas gifts for people, and these are actually my girlfriend's dogs, her parents' dogs, and they're crazy and awesome, Maggie and Tilly. And we've got this awesome photo of them, so I practiced drawing it a few times with pencil, and then I went over one of the pencil drawings with ink and really simplified it and stylized it a lot, and then scanned it into the computer like I usually do. And then depending on how well I did with the ink drawing, I will go through and I'll edit different things then again in Photoshop. And this one, I think that I added in the T and the M in Photoshop. However, I had handwritten it. It had kind of gotten lost in the scanning process. It wasn't clean enough, so I did that part of it digitally. And I then printed these out onto a piece of printer paper and coated that in vegetable oil, and I put that onto a screen that I had, an old painting canvas that I had taken the canvas off of and put a silk screen on, and I put the photo emulsion on that, and I had let it dry. And then if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is like a way to do printmaking, a way to burn a screen. I don't know, that terminology's fallen out of my head because I haven't done it in a little while. But I thought it was pretty interesting that one of the best methods for that I've ever figured out is to like print it out on regular printer paper and then soak that printer paper in some vegetable oil so it gets really translucent, and then you can use that as the transparency for burning your screen. I find that stuff, I'm constantly learning new stuff and tricks and stuff on how to make that work. And I really like screen printing, and I don't think that I'm qualified at all to teach anything about it, but that's one trick that I would like explain to people that it works and why it works, and maybe in a later video to get into more of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I made a bunch of prints of them and I gave it to different people in the family that all love those dogs. I'm going to do a similar kind of thing this Christmas. Spoiler alert. Alright, this drawing, this is the kind of thing that I wanted to actually work on today on the stream, because it's just like this ball pen, and it's like sketching with a pencil. You can like really kind of shade with it and get different values, but I guess like you just starting out, your values are darker, like the range of values that you can get with it are kind of darker, and it's fun to mess with sometimes. It's kind of, I like the way that a ballpoint pen flows. I wonder how much of that is just like you've used a ballpoint pen so much in your life throughout school and all of that. Really hope that when I listen back to this, it's not like, yeah, you can't hear anything because the music is so bumping. I'm looking at the audio input thing for the music part of it, just like going off. How about as an experiment, I turn it down? Alright, that's probably, I don't know, it looks like it's really quiet now. But that might be better. I don't know how loud my voice is coming through. There's gotta be a way that people check that live, or do you just kind of like figure out your settings and try to keep it there? Because I've got a laptop over here to monitor if there was anything going on in the chat, I guess, but I'm not, oh, you know what I could do? I could turn it off. I could take my headphones off and listen to it for a second. I'm gonna do that. It's probably great entertainment, but one second. Testing, testing. Alright, yeah, actually, okay. Well, I tested that. Seems like my voice might actually be too loud. Probably sound a little hot. Hopefully that's not too quiet now. I don't know. Turn it up a slight bit more. Alright. I know it. I want to figure out how to like have my settings all good so that when you actually go to do the live stream, like everything is set up, but maybe it's good that I do a test run like this. Alright, back to the drawing. This drawing, third eye sketch. I definitely put third eyes on a lot of things. I definitely like sometimes to just like have a blank paper and just kind of squiggles and the human mind, my human mind at least, like really wants to make faces out of things. I think everybody sees faces in the clouds and stuff, so trying to like do some random groundwork that I then have to stick to in some areas and ignore in other areas and turn it into a face or a figure. It's just a fun kind of going off an abstract little exercise, but I don't do it that often. I probably should do it more because I genuinely end up getting inspired by like whatever the composition is that I came up with, so probably should do that more. It's fun to do. It's a very fun exercise. Trying to have like there be some sort of a juxtaposition in there sometimes too, of like you can tell that this is actually some moment of truth and realism in the way that a face actually looks, or the way that whatever it is you're drawing actually looks. but then it's juxtaposed next to this obvious, just like as close to random as you could ever achieve, you know? That's fun. Love doing the patterns in there too, building up the texture and stuff with patterns. I like this one. I went off on like a little ballpoint pen thing around this time, but I try to remember when it was. Sometime in the winter. Might have actually been kind of like close to spring. I was having to get productive thinking about murals and stuff actually happening. Yeah, and this is something that I was working on at least on like the same day, but it ended up being a design that I did for a mural, and the mural was a very long story. Didn't was not the most pleasant mural painting experience, but I shouldn't even bring that up because I don't intend to get into the details of that right now. But this was a fun drawing. I like the drawing. I ended up doing like a digital colored edit of it that I turned into a shirt. That's on my Threadless website. But I thought this one was a pretty cool, just like fun with those values, and you know, having this, trying to have a fairly realistic outline of the figure of the wolf, and then just really messing with it, having fun with it, doing different things. I wish that I did have an actual like sketchbook that we could be flipping through the pages of, but what I actually do is I do too many things on like printer paper. But I don't really think it matters too much doing things on printer paper when you're doing it with ballpoint pen. Like they're equal on equal levels of, you know, the value of those mediums. But doing stuff with pencil, I've gotten into like a pencil drawing on printer paper recently that got like turned into a finished drawing and everything. It's like, damn, every time I worked on it, like, why am I doing this on printer paper? It's not that I don't have other paper. I think it's just that the printer paper was sitting right next to me. This is another one around that same time, so I guess we could look back and see, when did Kobe Bryant die? I know that it was like right before the pandemic and everything started. It becomes very difficult to, I mean, it feels like it wasn't in the same year, but I think that it was within the same year. But this is a pen drawing that I did maybe the day after he died. I don't very often do like an actual like portrait of somebody that is any amount of realistic at all. And also this might actually be like pencil and ballpoint pen, or at least like marker and ballpoint pen. I think that's what it is. I think a lot of the snake part of it around here, I think that is marker largely. I also I've done a lot of work with a local museum where I live, and they do a lot of stuff that like focuses on Western art and Native American art and things like that. So the Ouroboros snake eating itself is like a theme that would come up all the time, and then you start to notice that theme in all sorts of different cultures' artwork and mythology and stuff like that. And there's just something really cool about the idea of it. I mean, even that old game on the Nokia phone, like the try to go around and make the snake grow and grow without having it run into itself, eat its own tail. I don't know, there's something very interesting about the symbolism of the snake And I was relating that to Kobe's nickname there, Mamba. This is one of the new pencil drawings that I've been working on. I, like a long time ago, would do pretty like careful and tedious like shading. Let me see if I can zoom in at all. No. Looks like it zooms in almost all of it out. Oh, well, I guess it did zoom it in. I did like these figure drawings and stuff like that were very like not sketchy, just kind of like really deciding on the shape of things and then really slowly and lightly shading and building up the pencil and making it darker and really kind of taking a long time with it. And then I got away from doing that. I think that I could definitely think of times after that community college experience. This was many, many years ago that I, like, yeah, there's no way when I was living in that apartment or whatever that I could have been doing, like, little, careful, gentle drawings. But now I've got a much more calm space. So I'm trying to do these drawings again. And they are standalone kind of pieces of art, but I've also, as I've been working on them, I've realized like how much of an easier time creating a composition I have, just kind of like freely and loosely, with the pencil, because I'm not having to worry about the colors. I do really love bright and colorful stuff, and I love painting with a ton of color and stuff, but I think that I like went too far away from drawing and was only doing painting. I would draw with the paint a little bit on the canvas to make the framework of whatever my painting was, but I wasn't actually like doing pencil drawings and thinking about the value and shading and depth that you create that way when you're doing, a monochromatic whatever. And I think that it's important to do that, at least for me, because and now I haven't really completed this experiment, but like I just feel like if I use these drawings as a framework for a painting, I will have already made the decisions on the values and stuff like that. And I've thought about like how I could like very quickly kind of translate the drawing onto the canvas before I start the painting, and maybe even using a projector. But then again, I haven't tried it yet, and I don't know if that really would be beneficial in any way. It's something that I'm thinking about trying though. But either way, I like these drawings. The It definitely has a lot of meaning and stuff. There's all sorts of different things about the meaning that I could get into. Sometimes I feel like doing that with different things. Sometimes it's like exciting, whatever the meaning of it was. Sometimes the piece is so old that I have kind of forgotten what some of the stuff is, because I don't always have bits of meaning that like jump right out at you immediately. But one thing I'll say is that I had just gotten a dog. I had just gotten my puppy. I think that we were kind of like sleep deprived. I think that a lack of sleep, having restless dreams, is definitely a major theme. A lot of different stuff also that like, I do spend quite a bit of time playing video games, so there's like an element of, the landscapes and stuff from Red Dead Redemption in here. Fun. I like doing the pencil drawings. I've got another pencil drawing in here too to show. This is an originally it was an ink drawing, and it was for another proposal for a mural, and they had the mural was proposed for a place called Ithaca Reuse, and they are kind of like a restore, reuse Salvation Army for furniture and all sorts of different things like that. That rather than the things going to the dump can be repurchased by people who need them. And Ithaca, there's like a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of kids going to college for a semester and, probably getting a nice couch and then having to get rid of stuff or whatever. I don't know, speculation there. But I also like, just the idea of that there's enough like junk in the world already. Like rather than buying another IKEA desk, you could probably go and find like a better desk that, wasn't cheaply made and but it's just older, maybe a little bit dinged up. But it was cool that they liked my design. They did have some, some kind of guidelines and stuff, and that can either be helpful in some situations or in other situations it can be like, oh man, I don't understand these guidelines. But in this case, I did feel pretty inspired by what they asked for in the proposal, and I felt that I could do something kind of cool. Although this is definitely like out of the norm, I would say, for the way that I create things. It definitely, I think that you can tell that that I was prompted to come up with something pretty, based on a concept. I don't know. I don't know exactly how to articulate it. I just looking at it, like the birds in the nest on the bottle, and the city in the bottle. I do really like it. It's almost more of like a symbol, And I don't know, I guess I just don't generally feel like my brain works that way. But I do like this drawing. I really like, and I actually like the way that the mural turned out. The mural turned out pretty close to, true to my design here. Lots of changes in the colors, but at some point I would show do like a cast about showing like the different murals and stuff that I've done. But right now I'm just showing like a few drawings. I did a lot of Inktober drawings, even like over the past 3 or 4 years, and it's always like it is the way that my brain works. I think that I have a fun time coming up with stuff like this, but throughout most of the year when I come up with like gross stuff, I'll have ideas for Inktober and early in the winter time, like right after Inktober sometimes, and like I have to wait on that because I don't know. I don't have much of an audience in general, but I definitely am not in with the kind of the lowbrow illustration design crowd, though I like a lot of that work. I think that if I did that throughout the year, I would also be doing so many other things that wouldn't appeal to that crowd that I don't know if I could build that audience very well. But I do enjoy the work, and like I definitely like making stuff like this. But I tend to do it a lot more in October and fall and stuff. I still didn't complete a lot of the ideas that I had for this year, and I don't know if I will. But this drawing in particular, actually, is it's got to be like it started out 10 years ago. I think that I might have actually still been in high school, and it was something where I was like, I took a Photoshop class, and it was really boring, and so I wasn't really learning Photoshop very quickly. But I wanted to be able to do an ink drawing, and scan it into the computer and like take out the imperfections of the paper and everything and just have my solid black lines. But definitely back then I didn't have solid black lines, so I remember trying to scan this drawing in, and it just it just didn't look good at all. It just wasn't good. So I happened to find it looking through some old files this, just a few weeks ago, I was like, oh damn, I'm going to just like go over my lines for that again now that I know how to and complete the thing. And I still think that it's a funny idea. I still think that the expression on the dude's face is like, ah, I'm so excited. Like, somebody comes up behind you and is like, guess who? Um, but then it's like, severed hands. It's also fun practice to do hands. It's always like a challenge doing hands. And I could tell that this hand right here, it's a little bit weird. It might be my shading on it was a little bit weird, but it made a pretty cool shirt design also. Alright, here is another one. This is one, like, in particular that just reminiscing about how much I enjoy Halloween throughout the year. I was like, I'm gonna do that scene from Hocus Pocus where the two dudes are hanging in the cages and the witches are trying to remember the magic potion, and they just keep on saying, a dead man's tongue, no chums, dead man's chums, and I don't know. I always thought that was really funny, so I've wanted to do this drawing for quite a while, and then finally it was October, and it was one of the first drawings that I did. And it was fun. I think it turned out pretty good. One of my little times that I've done, like, fan art, I don't know if that Kobe thing, I guess the Kobe thing is technically fan art, too. But I did, like, a Hey Arnold drawing one time also. Very, very inspired by Hey Arnold. I love that. Definitely did do some cleaning up, like this area right here. You can see some little mistakes. Lines crossing over lines where they shouldn't. But I've gotten better at going into Photoshop and cleaning things like that up. Alright, now this is the newest drawing that I've completed, and it was the one that I was talking about where I was like, man, halfway through, why am I doing this on printer paper? There's like a ton of reasons that the printer paper, like your average, like standard printer paper, just is not something that you should do a complete drawing on, or something that you might actually want to sell. I mean, not that it didn't work out and it didn't turn out good, and that somebody shouldn't still buy this drawing from me, but it's harder to build up the pencil. It's just, you could just tell that you would be having an easier time in a lot of aspects of completing the drawing if you were working on actual drawing paper. And but I was enjoying doing this one. It's again another, like, things are peaceful and calm and I can just sit and shade and shade and shade, which I've got to thank my girlfriend for sure for. She must have been taking care of Dill. Dill is my dog, my little pup, and he's wild and crazy. And I actually think that the deer thing that my made up deer, my wonky looking made up elk deer thing, is somewhat inspired by Dill. How do I zoom in more? I'm gonna try to zoom in more on this one. There's plenty of detail. Again, like a lot of meaning. There's like a lot of emotion in this one. Things that just represent a lot of emotion and stuff. Unsustainability is another thing that I was thinking of with this one. The like negative sacrifices that are unnecessary and just collateral damage and kind of, I mean, to me, not vague themes, because I understood why I was adding these themes all to this one composition. And it certainly does mean something to me as soon as I look at it, but I don't think that I think that it would be a lot cooler if you looked at it and saw whatever you feel in it. There's something like intentionally vague about some things that I do. Like it should like invoke something, but it shouldn't be telling you something about me as an artist. Like it should be, hopefully you look at this drawing and have your own kind of relationship with it, and you think about it. I saw somebody online said that it looks like something that they'd like to solve, and I do think that there's a, maybe even just because I like murder mysteries so much, I do like listen to that kind of thing quite a bit. Podcasts about murders and stuff like that, so maybe there is like some element of that, but there's definitely just also an element of like the bizarreness of the American landscape and the unsustainability of some of the shit that I think is going on, you know? And then a little message over here written on the beach about what I'd like to say to most of the people, it feels like, that I live around. Edith, nothing. Okay, that must be the last actual drawing. Well, I think that I will show you this actual drawing IRL and not from a desktop capture, which is what I should have been doing when I was just trying to zoom in on it. I hope that we don't lose audio or anything. Alright. Looks like we still got audio. Okay. Maybe it's just loud. Turn it down a little bit and turn it back up a little bit more. Alright. So, like, that's one thing that I think that looking at it on the actual piece of paper, it is quite a bit lighter looking. I mean, it's just nice to be able to put something in the computer, scan it into the computer, and do some edits and, like, bring up the contrast and stuff and make the, you know, the dark parts a little bit darker. I think also presenting things this way, like, you would have to have it in the right light for it to, you know, it could look as dark as it does in the computer uploaded version of it. I don't know how well this is gonna look, this zooming in like this, but it's a good experiment. As far as the streaming on my channel goes, like, I also want to do some cooking stuff, because that is some of the art that my girlfriend and I spend the most amount of time on, pretty much. Alright, now let me switch it back. So I need to have an overhead cam that kind of like sits like right here. I guess like right here, but even that, like, that seems a little too far away. I don't know how much you can zoom, but like, if it was here, it would be pretty damn in my eyesight, in my eye level of where I want to work. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to figure something out. But that's the stream. I hope that it actually saves it, and I hope that the music that I was playing isn't too terrible, since I just chose something that I thought was maybe free to use. We'll find out, but I hope that it wasn't like ridiculous. Or maybe it's gonna be funny because it is ridiculous. Alright. I'll be back to do this again soon. After I watch this, take some notes, figure out what I want to change about it. Thank you very much if you do watch it.